And when people are frightened enough or told enough or hear enough that they're in danger or that they are in a position of fear or they're in a position of lack, then they're going to behave accordingly. That is the narrative that has been delivered pretty much right from the beginning.
Okay, Nicola, so outside of the mental health aspects in which you specialise, what do you actually think about the virus itself? Do you deny the pandemic or what's your take on the actual illness?
I don't think I can comment on the illness per se, but if you're asking, do I recognise that there's been a pandemic, that there's been a virus? Absolutely. That's not. I don't even think that's in question. I think what's in question is how it's been responded to. That's the bit that's that I've shown more of an interest in from a mental health point of view, aside from the fact that there is actually a virus. In terms of the fear narrative, it's like a kind of massive proportion of the world's population has sort of become delusional. And from a psychology point of view, an illness point of view, people would meet criteria. A lot of people would meet criteria at the moment for obsessive compulsive disorder, for health anxiety, for some people quite extreme health anxiety, and agoraphobia. And all of these conditions are states of fear. Yeah. They're all phobias. The bit when I said about a delusion, the reason why I said it, well, it isn't. The point is, it isn't delusional, isn't it? The definition of a delusion basically is if you're the only one that holds it, and therefore it's a delusion. But because so many people have been conditioned into believing the levels of fear, the degree of fear, then that's the bit that's the problem. So we're being kind of guided, our attention is being guided, be frightened and to feel frightened. And that's what has led to these very, very, very phobic positions by a lot of people, people that don't want to go out now, people that don't want to go to work. Interesting, I was thinking also, if this had been maybe a year or a couple of years ago, and I'd been working with somebody, let's say an adult, who had these really quite extreme danger beliefs around a virus, and they were also kind of encouraging that in their children, and they were encouraging their children to hold those beliefs, to act out various safety behaviours that they were acting out around excessive hand washing and distancing from loved ones,
kill relatives,
school refusal, wearing masks, and like you said, imagining that they're responsible and the responsibility for a loved one's death. Then that absolutely would have been raised as a safeguarding issue. That would have been a child protection issue without a doubt. But of course that's not how it's seen, because it's a narrative that everybody is familiar to. And they wouldn't even think of it as a narrative. They would just see it as a fact, as a truth.
From someone who does what you do, are you surprised?
It's a really interesting one because yes, I am. There's still a part of me that's still sort of like shocked. Yet, when I consider the impact of coercion and fear and pressure and expectation, it's constantly there. It's constantly making people vigilant and hyper-vigilant to threat all the time. And again, this is, it's a known psychological strategy to keep people scared, to keep people frightened. And when people are frightened, if you think about anybody who's frightened, I'm not necessarily thinking about this situation at the moment, people who are scared and frightened, they can't be creative. They can't really think. They can't really be expansive. So people who are scared and frightened are very easy to manipulate. They're very easy to control. But go back to the idea of risk and risk aversion. It's in cognitive behavioural therapy language, safety behaviours is something that comes up a lot when people engage in behaviours that appear to keep them safe, but actually they're not helping, they're not keeping them safe, they're making them feel more scared.
Yeah.
So a lot of the measures that have been put in place, like the mask wearing, degree of social distancing, like the lockdowns, have actually just enhanced people's fears. It's not done anything to alleviate them or to promote their innate well-being. People are more overwhelmed, and people are generally overwhelmed when they come to see me. But this is creating an even greater overwhelm and an even greater sense of confusion, an even greater sense of helplessness and hopelessness. It is going on. It is something that's environmental. But at some point, we have to not just think about how are we going to respond to what's going on in our thoughts and feelings and sensations, but how are we going to respond to this wider expectation, this wider tyranny. And that is about doing things that are mentally healthy, doing things that actually work. So doing things like going to see your friends, getting out and seeing your family, and touching and hugging. The illusion's broken, and then it's like, oh my goodness, and then people feel confused and they feel very distressed. And can you imagine as more and more people are waking up, how duped they're going to feel, how outraged they're going to feel. What people are going to need is our support. They're going to need our compassion. They're going to need our help so that they can quickly move through that, which is almost like a grief.
Yeah, it will be
process.
A bereavement, won't it? A bereavement of their belief.
A betrayal and a sense of feeling shafted and all of those things. But, we need to sort of support people through that.